What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Sunday Night Fantasy Recap presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my incredibly smart and somewhat handsome co-hosts, John Luke Garofalo, Joey Wright, and Jay Felicio. What's up, boys?
What up?
Yeah, what's going on?
Oh, hey, whoa.
Jay getting the zappies ready because we got a little more zappy action.
Why is
today.
Jay work at Five Guys right now? Five Guys burgers and fries.
Actually, no, I work at Pizza Planet. Thank you very much.
Yo, that is 100% a shirt that someone would wear to Five Guys on like Halloween and be like, "I'm a different guy. I'm a Pizza Planet employee."
Employee discount.
Am I right? Would you like your intergalactic fries?
I can't eat Five Guys fries. They give me the every time.
They give you the raspberries?
They give you the raspberries?
No, they make me. Yeah, they give me the Tommy Trembles.
They give you raspberries.
That's Tommy Trembles.
Your order, they just lift your shirt up and go all your belly.
Here's the problem, Joey. I don't know if Five Guys fries give me diarrhea because every time I eat Five Guys fries, I also eat 2 grilled cheese sandwiches from Five Guys. I know those give me diarrhea. So every time I eat Five Guys, I do have diarrhea, but I'm not sure if it's the French fries.
Well,
that's what everyone wanted to hear about while we got these games going on, right? We got some people in the chat. Geek Hippie, what's up, Geek Hippie? Welcome in. Albert says, hello, everyone.
What up, Albert?
Good morning.
How about them Giants, Jay?
How about them Giants, baby? 5-1. I have no idea what's going on right now. Let's be honest. No idea, but
nobody does.
I was really like, this week was the week where like it was supposed to come back to reality. I felt like where like the Giants would lose to the Ravens, things would be a little more normal. 4-2. That's like a team that got off to a hot start, but we're sitting here looking at a 5-1 Giants team. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about them in that game throughout the show today. We got Craig in the chat saying, guys, I may play Smash Brothers with the kids tonight over watching my Cowboys play the Eagles. Is that acceptable? 1,000%. 1,000%, Craig. That's acceptable.
Here's what you do, Craig. Here's what you do. Load it up on your phone, have it up, and turn the volume up so you can hear it. So then there's a big play. You just turn your head real quick like this. Boom. You see the game. You see the big scores. That way you can have talking conversation points for tomorrow.
Man, I would never do that. I would only ever watch the whole thing and not do that while doing something else, especially not during an exciting like Commanders-Bears game or something like that.
Definitely not.
Definitely not during one of those.
And also invite me to play Smash, please.
Jill's like, I'll play. You'll beat me. Geek Hippie, and you're saying the Jets won?
They did.
Yeah, and the Giants.
They did.
The Jets and the Giants against the Ravens and the Packers. Both won their games this week. It's the upside down in the NFL this year. I'm fully convinced at this point. Guys, before we get started talking about these games, a couple of reminders. One, if you're watching this stream and you're enjoying it so far, go ahead and hit that like button if you're on YouTube or on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to FanDuel. They've got a whole team of killer content creators and us helping you guys win some money and win your leagues. I stole your joke, Jay.
I was going to say, you took my line, but that's okay.
100%. Whenever you see gold, you just steal it. That's how you do it right there. Guys, then head over to TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. They're at FanDuel on all of these platforms. Make sure you're following them over there. We've got some games going on right now. I wanted to give live updates of the games that we are watching. And I believe we actually just had one of them end, if I'm not mistaken, right? The Panthers-Rams game. The Rams have officially won 24-10 in this matchup.
Yeah, pretty much Christian McCaffrey does Christian McCaffrey things. Once again, he didn't score a touchdown, but he went over 100 total yards. PJ Walker wound up getting pulled for Jacob Eason. I will say something to keep an eye on for this game. You know, there was rumors that the Panthers put both Christian McCaffrey and Robbie Anderson on the block this week. Robbie Anderson actually got sent to the locker room in about the third quarter. He was chirping at his wide receiver coach the whole game. He got in his face. Then they sent him off Antonio Brown style. Now, thankfully, he kept his jersey on and, didn't throw stuff around. But even if he's not traded just yet, I don't know what's going to be the case with Robbie Anderson from here on out. And then on the Los Angeles side of the ball, Cooper Kupp is very good. Let's take a look at the running backs. Matthew Stafford actually had 2 carries for -3 yards. Malcolm Brown was involved. Darrell Henderson was involved. Honestly, I think this backfield is going to be a mess even without Cam Akers. I don't think you're going to see the Darrell Henderson that we saw last season, especially with the way this offensive line looks. I had another offensive line injury, so it's going to be ugly in this backfield, and the offense didn't look that great.
This is the longest list I've ever seen on a box score for number of players that got a rush.
I
Like
had to do a
rushing
double
attempt,
check to
just-
make sure I was looking at rushing and not receiving.
Yeah, it's absurd. And then you get the best, like the best receivers listed up there as well. Everyone except for Mr. Allen Robinson listed getting a rush in that game. But the Malcolm Brown is what was not shocking, but disappointing to see as someone who rosters Darrell Henderson. I didn't think he was going to be this involved, but I think you're right, Jay. It's just going to be messy here. If you're going to start a back from this offense, it's probably Henderson, but Brown's going to be a thorn in your side.
And I will say the one guy who I did see talking about this is our good friend LQ, Laquan Jones, who is a Rams fan, who said that Malcolm Brown is going to get some run. He's familiar with this offense. Don't discount him getting some serious run in this offense.
Yeah, Darrell Henderson still looked good though, in my opinion. Just from what from what I saw, I mean, he ended this game as the main fantasy running back for this team. So, you know, while I do think Malcolm Brown will limit his upside, I think it's not really any more than Cam Akers was limiting his upside.
Yeah, Malcolm Brown had a 30-yard run. It was around 30 yards called back too. In addition, just a little footnote.
Yeah. Absolutely. Jay, anything else on this game that we need to talk about? I don't think there were any other players that we needed to hit on.
It was nice to see.
Loved, right?
DJ
nice
Moore, what
Allen
the
Robinson.
hell?
Until it's unless he gets traded and they said they're not dealing him, it's really upsetting.
I was baiting you to celebrate Allen Robinson because I know Joey's been waiting.
I was headed there. I was headed there, and then JL yelled DJ Moore in my ear, so I went there. But yeah, it was nice to have Allen Robinson actually catch a couple passes. He looked good. He looked like the Allen Robinson of old. You hope while this offense hasn't looked like it did last year, maybe this is the start of something for somebody other than Cooper Kupp to catch some passes in this offense.
Joey, you were excited about Allen Robinson this offseason. I don't think you'd given up quite yet. Does this give you hope for the rest of the season?
I had given up on starting him. I didn't drop him in any leagues. I held strong to my shares of Allen Robinson, which I have a lot of. I think I started him in like 2 of 27 leagues today because I had to. And I'm happy that I got points out of him. And I really did. It wasn't just that he had numbers. He looked good today. So I'm excited to start him going forth in the next few weeks.
I hope so. I hope it's not a good old trick, the classic trick where he shows up.
Little tricky trick.
It wasn't just points today. I mean, he looked good. He was explosive.
I agree with Joey. He made some toe tap catches at the end, a little toe drag swag. He looked really good.
Let's move on to this next game that's going on right now. They're at the 2-minute warning. The Seattle Seahawks up 19-9 on the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm literally watching right now, and Seattle's about to win this game, so they're going to win the game. They're about to take a knee. Kenneth Walker's really good at football. What is that on there? 21 carries for 97 yards, touchdown. He looked amazing. He had a few really incredible runs. They did a 34-yard run. It was a big highlight of the day for Kenneth Walker. Kyler, he had 100 yards rushing. You're going to get fantasy points out of him. This Arizona offense looks a little lost. It really did today. Their lone touchdown came from DST. Scored the touchdown, so that's good for them.
It felt kind of shocking, didn't it? Like it felt like everyone on the broadcast and stuff were kind of like, and they scored, like, and now it's a touch. Like it just seemed like out of nowhere, wasn't celebrated highly on the broadcast. And like, okay, and now we're back to the Seahawks game.
Yeah,
like it didn't even feel like a Cardinals game.
Yeah, I haven't seen the update on it, but Marquise Brown was getting attended to on the field. I haven't seen him back out there yet. But DeAndre Hopkins comes back next week, so this offense will look a little different starting next week. So hopefully the Cardinals can bounce back from this loss. But Seattle's 3-3, so that's exciting for them.
And no James Conner, no Darrell Williams, so basically running Eno Benjamin out there and Keontae Ingram.
Yeah, and Eno didn't look as great as we were hoping today at all.
Well, you mean 15 carries for 37 yards isn't what I was hoping for in all the lineups I plugged him in on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that hurt me quite a bit this week. I was hoping for a little bit more. This Seahawks run defense was supposed to be very beatable, right? Like it was supposed to be a very beatable unit, and they just couldn't get anything going. They couldn't get Eno going on the ground. disappointing for sure. But Seahawks 3-3, and this Cardinals team not looking so hot. The game of the day, though, the one that everyone was looking forward to, the one that I was really scared was going to be like an absolute, not snooze fest, but not the points that we thought we were going to get from this game. But the Chiefs
it looked like it in the first half.
You know what? It looked like it if you just looked at the score. But if you're watching the game, there were multiple red zone turnovers, right? Like where like you knew points were coming. You just had to be patient. But right now, sitting at 2017, the Chiefs leading the Bills in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, this game, I was just laughing because it was like, I think 2 minutes left in half, or maybe a little bit more, and it was like 3-0. I was like, man, Simon, you really jinxed this. You really jinxed this game. Like, what have you done? You've broken the Bills and the Chiefs. But they, of course, did the things that Bills and Chiefs do, which is scored a lot of points. Each of them coming back in the second quarter with 10 points, finishing half tied up. And then, 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. We got a Stephon Diggs touchdown from Josh Allen, as well as a Mecole Hardman touchdown. It was fantastic. And then in the fourth, KC just came back with a Harrison Butker field goal to be leading this game. We're now here in the fourth quarter. We got 5 minutes left, 5.5 minutes left or so.
Man,
Buffalo's about to get the ball. Yeah,
that Butker field goal, I like the 62-yarder going into the wind, like facing the wind, 62 yards, just absolutely drills that. I've never heard announcers so hyped for a made field goal that wasn't to win the game. You know what I mean? Like that was just a halftime kick, and they were going crazy. Like they're happy to have him back. Like he is a real game changer. Like they were hyping up. Butker needs to play that as his alarm every morning because they were gassing him up so hard after that kick. But it was pretty sick. It was.
I don't even like kickers, and I was impressed.
It was pretty awesome over there. Albert in here bringing up Juju got his first touchdown this season.
He did.
Juju
it was beautiful.
Good. This is what people who were hyped up on Juju, this is what you were expecting. And man, he looks good.
Yeah, all of your teams out there with Juju Smith-Schuster and Allen Robinson as your wide receivers 2 and 3, this was your week. This was your week to celebrate.
And sell if you want to, because I fear this is just going to be the case. You know, we've been seeing this all season, these wide receiver carousel in Kansas City. I feel like if you were worried about Juju before, now is the time to sell. Wait until a big week, then move away.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm with you. I might still keep playing the Juju game, but he's not an every week start. He's a start occasionally, starting good matchups, starting bye weeks, and he can have big games. This is a high-powered offense right there. We'll keep you guys updated with this game as it continues along. But we got some more people in here ready to hang out. Slick Vic, what's up?
Hi, Mom.
Vic.
Hi, Jay's mom. And Dennis in here said, late last-minute help, please.
Got
with
you, Dennis.
CD active. Half PPR, CD or Devonta Smith in my flex. Need 8 to 12 points for a safe win. A 0 to 6 would put me at risk. So he's not looking for the upside play, looking for the safe play. Jay, would you be going CD Lamb or Devonta Smith tonight?
I'm going to go CD. He's been involved pretty much every game this season, even more so with Cooper Rush under center. Devonta Smith, while he's played better as of late, he has been ghosting in some games. And I'm just, if you need the safe play, it's CD, even banged up.
Yeah, I'm with Jay.
CD. Joey, you as well?
Absolutely.
It's CD for me as well. I don't think Devonta Smith is a bad play. I do not think he's a bad play this week, but I'm leaning CD. I can't bench CD for Devonta Smith.
I've been trying to trade for Devonta Smith in a lot of places because everybody's down on him. A.J. Brown's emerged as the wide receiver 1, but the way Jalen Hurts has looked, he's been able to support multiple guys. So,
man, Jalen Hurts is just one of those guys. Every time he plays well, I'm just like, got him. Like where he's sitting there, he's like, everyone who hates that guy, got him. Like, even if I wasn't the biggest Jalen Hurts fan, I want him. Like, it's so much fun to watch him prove people wrong. Like, there's nothing unlikable about that guy. He's just like so likable, and whenever he kills it, it makes me happy.
Yeah, whenever someone's counted out, I feel like
it's fun. I think that's part of the reason. Like, it's fun to cheer for Lamar Jackson too, right? Yeah. Because of the running back comments.
It's always counted out.
It carries with them. It no matter how much they prove, those comments, the way they're viewed when they come into the league, sticks with a player. And man, is it fun to watch them prove those wrong. Before we get into the rest of these games, talk a little bit about Sunday Night Football. I know we unfortunately had some injuries today, though. Compared to previous weeks, It's okay. Like cross your fingers. There's still some more football to be played, but we've had way worse injury weeks. Jay, you want to update us on the injuries that did take place this week 6 Sunday?
Like you said, you never want to see anybody injured. It's always considered serious, no matter how many there are. But compared to the past 2 weeks, it wasn't as bad. Kenny Pickett did go down with a concussion. He looked pretty good. Hopefully he's able to get back there soon. Trubisky did wind up finishing the game. No word on if it's going to take some time to see how fast he can get through concussion protocol. Randall Cobb had an ankle injury, which did not look good. He had to be carted off. He was crying. I would not be surprised to see him out for a long period of time, if not the season. No word on that yet, but he was in tears on the cart.
Who is that?
Randall Cobb.
Randall Cobb.
So the wide receiver core for the Packers gets even thinner. Cameron Brate had a concussion as well, his second concussion in 3 weeks. So he was carted off. They had to take off his face mask. He was on the board. I would not be surprised to see him out for an extended period of time if he's able to come back this season. And then Dion Jackson, the running back for the Indianapolis Colts, who was looking fantastic.
He was
playing in place of Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor. Wound up with a quad injury, was taken out of the game, did not come back. Who knows how much more run he's going to get if he is able to get healthy. JT was practicing this week. I would expect him to come back. Who knows with Nyheim Hines as well. And then, like Joey said, Marquise Brown did have an ankle injury. It was literally about 5 minutes before we started the show. So don't have much information on that one yet, but just something to keep an eye on.
Yep. Man, shout out Dion Jackson, though, for that was a huge win for the Colts without Jonathan Taylor, without Nyheim Hines. This dude steps in, plays like a champion, and they get the win in big part because of him. I know he was injured, but that's awesome. That's going to speak volumes to the team, I feel like, for Dion Jackson.
They needed it the way that they looked against the Broncos on Thursday night.
They did, and the big loss to the Jaguars last time they played. It was big stuff from him over there. We had a question in here from Young Zay, and we're going to move into talking about this Cowboys-Eagles game tonight. He wants to know, would you start the Cowboys defense or Eagles defense tonight? JL, which one of those two defenses would you be starting?
Eagles for me. It's Eagles again. The Eagles defenses have been playing lights out. They've been fantastic. I'm absolutely starting them.
I'm moving away from them. What about you, Joey? Are you sticking with the Eagles or are you going with the Cowboys defense?
Eagles, just because of Cooper Rush. Like, even though this Dallas Cowboys defense is really, really great, I think that there's a step down with Cooper Rush, so I'd rather play the Eagles defense.
Yeah, and Joe, your mom agreeing with you, going with the Eagles.
Good job, Mom.
One. Jay, do you agree with these guys? Are you going Eagles as well?
I don't agree with them. I agree with Joey's mom, the Eagles.
That's fair. And
totally fair.
Man,
totally fair.
this is going to be completely unanimous, but that's not to say the Cowboys are a bad play for anybody else watching. Like, if you are debating some of these matchups, you've got Cowboys, maybe you've got a defense playing tomorrow night. I prefer the Cowboys defense over both of the teams playing tomorrow night, I think. So I would plug the Cowboys in there without too many reservations. Though they are not expected to win this game. We're looking over here at the FanDuel Sportsbook. The Eagles are 6.5-point favorites going into this one. Almost a full touchdown favorite at home over the Dallas Cowboys with a 42.5-point over-under. So slightly below average, but expecting some points to be able to be scored more on the Eagles side than on that Cowboys side. Jay, you're a Giants fan. You're leading this division right now. You're looking down at these teams wondering, what are they doing, right?
No, the Eagles are still ahead because they haven't
right.
lost.
But on a moral standpoint, the Cowboys are winning, right? Like, you didn't even think you'd be sitting here, and you're sitting at 4-1. That's almost better than 5-0 and being an Eagles fan. How do you see this NFC East showdown shaking up? Do you think the Cowboys are going to cover this spread, or do you think the Eagles come out here and remind everyone why they're 5-0?
I think the Eagles, especially, they play big in primetime games at home. I think the Eagles have something to prove. Everybody, like we were talking about, everybody counted out Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, all these guys. It seems like they're playing with a chip on their shoulder this year. If Dak was in here, it'd be a different story. But Zeke hasn't looked good. Pollard's been okay. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, there really hasn't been any wide receivers that have stepped up. The Dallas defense is solid, but their offense just isn't there right now. And I think the Philadelphia defense is playing out of this world. All the moves they made in the secondary have really paid off. I'm, as much as I hate to say it, don't tell J1, don't tell Dan, but man, I think the Eagles are going to dominate tonight.
Eagles going to dominate. JL, I wanted to ask you about some of the players that I think people are having question marks on, start them or don't start them. And it's these running backs for the Dallas Cowboys going up against a pretty good Philadelphia Eagles defense. How are you feeling about Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard? Are they both in your lineup? Is one more in your lineup than the other? It's a confusing situation for fantasy managers.
I can understand that, Simon. I can empathize with fantasy managers.
Just help them out.
I see these guys pretty similarly, honestly. This week, I'm ranking them similarly, and that's both as a low end RB2, high end RB3 category. Philadelphia has been middle of the pack when it comes to fantasy points allowed to the running back position, and so that doesn't really factor in a ton. Their secondary has been fantastic, so there's a chance that Dallas has to rely on the run game, in which case I think both these guys, that kind of lifts both these guys up into that RB2 ceiling category.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Before we move on from this game, I did want to get everybody's prediction for tonight. And Jay, you picked the winner of Sunday Night Football wrong last week, so you have to pay up on an animal noise bet. I believe we had the animal picked out. What was it?
It was a frumpy otter. I believe Mr.
Otter.
Scampers chose a frumpy otter for us.
So, Jay, do you want to do that before or after the rest of us make our picks for this game?
Let's just go ahead and get it out of the way.
Let's make it. This is Jay's punishment for incorrectly picking the winner of Sunday Night Football last week. A frumpy otter noise from Jay.
Oh my God.
That was pretty good. That was way better than I thought it was going to be, Jay.
I have no idea what an otter sounds like.
No,
that could absolutely have been an otter.
Frumpy one at that.
Yeah.
Like Jay kind of went broke trying to defend that noise. He was like, definitely an otter without right. Probably right there.
Maria said very impressed.
Yeah, solid. Very impressed.
Thank you.
Geek Hippie with the very nice as well. And Dame with the nailed it. Jay, we'll see after you lose this one again this week. We'll see if you're feeling good next week. Jay picked the Eagles in this one. Joey, who are you picking?
I'm going to take the Eagles 28-21.
28-21. So they're covering, but just barely for Joey. What about you, JL?
I'll go Eagles, and I'll go 31-27.
31-27. What about you, Jay? You picked the Eagles, but what score are you putting on there?
I'm going to go 40-20.
40-20. That's Jay. And you know what? Just because I'm taking the odds that maybe I'll get to watch all three of you guys make an animal noise next week. I think this game stays competitive. I'll take the Cowboys. I'll take the Cowboys in this one in a super close game, lower scoring than we were expecting. I'll say 17-14 Cowboys. I know. I'm playing the game.
If we wanted to all go on the Eagles side, we could do that, and we could all whiff, and we could all be making animal sounds next week.
No, I'm going to be alone if I have to do it. That's how we're going to do it. I want to set up the potential to fully isolate myself amongst my friends next week. Instead
maybe we'll pick an animal that kind of embodies that in there, like a panther or something. More of a lone wolf type of animal.
What could possibly be an animal that's kind of like a lone wolf? I'm really struggling to think of an animal that we would compare to a lone wolf.
What camel situation?
Box turtle.
A solo coyote.
Maybe a wolf?
No.
Why do we say lone wolf whenever wolves are like by definition pack animals? Like
that's a good point.
Like we say lone wolf.
Because it's a lone wolf, meaning it's not a pack animal.
You're right. It might be repetitive if we said like are hamsters pack animals or are they solo animals?
I have no idea. I've always just seen them in
it would be like
cages in people's bedrooms. I don't know.
It'd be like an unsocialized coyote. That's what I got
bit by a hamster in first grade, so I hate them. I'll never forgive.
You just hate entire hamsters. All right.
Every hamster because I got bit by one in first grade.
All right.
He wouldn't let go. He was hanging on my thumb. I was shaking him. It was
Dear Lord.
Now I'm laughing.
As much as I want to keep talking about hamsters, you are crazy if you think I don't have about 15 different hamster stories.
We know.
I have so many
hamster
stories. Just an absurd
that
amount.
Doesn't surprise me.
This is using so much self-control not to just use this next hour to tell my hamster stories. Like it could fill the whole hour. But we got to talk about some football.
Yeah.
New York Giants and Baltimore Ravens. The Giants pulled this one out 24-20, bringing them to 5-1.
Yes, the Giants, they have defeated the Ravens this week. It was a pretty good game. It was a pretty good game.
was a really
a few
good game.
costly turnovers in the fourth quarter by Lamar Jackson cost the Ravens victory, setting Saquon Barkley up for a nice go-ahead touchdown to win this game, put the Giants ahead, win this game. Lamar Jackson threw 17 completions on 32 attempts for 210 yards and a touchdown. Did have the interception. I believe had a fumble as well. Not the best game from Lamar Jackson. On the running back side, Kenyon Drake was the guy. He's the guy on the Ravens side here. 10 carries, 119 yards, and a touchdown, and he looked good. If you watch this game at all, Kenyon Drake had a few breakaway runs and a few that were called back, but he looked quick on his feet, looked very good. J.K. Dobbins also, sorry, I got stuff playing in my ears. J.K. Dobbins, 7 carries for 15 yards. Yeah, not a great game for Dobbins. I'm not sure if he got injured in this game. I did not see him, but Mark Andrews, the man, 7 receptions, 106 yards, and a touchdown on 11 targets. Pretty good game for Mark Andrews.
Should have had another touchdown that he dropped to hit him right in the hand.
Yeah, it did. Oh, but it was a really tough. That was a tough catch. He was very, very heavily guarded. So let me ask you guys, how are you feeling about the wide receiver situation here in Baltimore? After this game, we got Rashad Bateman, who's been out. No one really stepped up. Isaiah Likely here, 4 targets, 2 receptions, 30 yards. Outside of that, Devin Duvernay didn't even really do much in this game.
I mean,
are you starting any of these guys? Any of these guys interesting to you?
If you were starting Devin Duvernay this week and Rashad Bateman's out again, you should continue starting Devin Duvernay. Like this performance shouldn't make you not start Devin Duvernay if he was the kind of player you're starting. 5 targets, 1 reception for 14 yards. You know this is a possibility, but also he just needs one of those plays to turn into a 60-yard touchdown, right? He is a boom bust kind of wide receiver. He is, even when Rashad Bateman is out, most likely. Like, still 5 targets is nothing to sneeze at, but he didn't turn him into anything this week, so you're a little disappointed. How I feel about the Ravens receiving situation is, please give me Rashad Bateman back. like please give me Rashad Bateman back.
Are any of these guys worth even rostering? Isaiah Likely, Demarcus Robinson,
Likely in Dynasty.
Yeah, I'm rostering Devin Duvernay in leagues. This is a bad performance from him, but I've liked what I've seen from him season long. So I'm going to roster Devin Duvernay on my bench. Hopefully, I don't have to start him, but bye weeks are coming up.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only guy I really want to start is Bateman, and that's pretty much it.
Damon here letting us know Dobbins knee tightened up on him, and so that's why Kenyon Drake got all that work right there.
Yeah, which we expected to see coming in. We expected to see J.K. Dobbins coming into the season that they were gonna use a bunch of different backs. That's what they used last year whenever Dobbins got hurt, along with Gus Edwards. And the Ravens are just gonna, they're gonna commit to that. I don't think they're gonna necessarily lean on just one guy forever. Kenyon Drake's probably worth the pickup. J.K. Dobbins is gonna have weeks like this. Yeah. How much are you guys spending on Kenyon Drake this week on the waiver?
0. I'm not interested whatsoever.
If I need a running back start, he's a guy I'm willing to pick up and start, right? Like,
it depends on if Dobbins is out. If Dobbins isn't playing next week, then maybe. But if Dobbins is back, even with Dobbins out, Drake hasn't looked good. It's one game. I'm still not convinced that he's somebody I'd be ready to put in my lineup.
If anyone's ready to anoint Kenyon Drake, ready to go, let's plug him into our lineups, it's me. I love Kenyon Drake. Went to high school with him, and I look for any excuse to talk about that, right? To bring it up and to plug him into my lineups. It is
30 minutes and 4 seconds, guys. Okay.
It's fun to talk about him. But we've seen this before, right? Him be hyper efficient on the ground, look really good. And I feel like we're going straight down narrative street here, but I feel like this is what happens. He gets everyone hopes up. You plug him in next week, and then it's back to what we saw from Kenyon Drake before. And JL, to your point, I do think this Ravens backfield is going to be a little bit unpredictable, probably with J.K. Dobbins being the most predictable option, but Kenyon Drake is in that bye week fill-in category of running back for me.
Yeah, that's fair. I think he's a high value backup. I would be rostering him this week. He looks good on the field. I think he'll be a factor even with J.K. Dobbins back in. Moving to the Giants side of this ball, guys, we saw Saquon Barkley do what he does: 22 carries, 83 yards, and a touchdown. Oh, it's so good to see that vintage Saquon back. 3 receptions.
Saquon.
Vintage Saquon. He had 3 targets, caught all 3 of those for 12 yards in this game. Saquon Barkley, fantastic.
He could have had
much to say.
Could have had another touchdown. Could have had another one. At the end
Good
of the
at
game
football,
right there,
Saquon Barkley.
Good at football. Good at football. Daniel Jones threw 19 completions on 27 attempts, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. One of those being to rookie Wanda Robinson, who we talked about this morning. You guys, Joey, I believe you were giving me the confidence to start Wanda Robinson. I believe I did.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really ever believe the whole like, okay, there's vacated targets so that this guy's going to produce. Someone's got to catch the ball, but
Simon,
it really does feel like with the Giants that one of these receivers has to hit, and Kadarius Toney can't stay on the field. And let's see what we got in Wanda Robinson. And I kind of liked what we saw. I mean, a lot of that production came in the first half, but I'm happy. He's probably going to be my top wide receiver waiver wire pickups this week.
Yeah, Wanda Robinson, I think he is a top waiver wire ad this week. 3 receptions, 37 yards, and a touchdown on 4 targets. You would have liked to see some more targets, but the Giants just aren't passing a ton. So, I think
and it's first game coming back from injury.
Yeah.
I'm with you guys. I think that he's somebody that's worth a lottery ticket waiver wire stash at the end of your bench. This regime handpicked him to be the guy for the team. There's already talks that they don't like Kadarius Toney for whatever reason. Kenny Galladay.
Don't like Kenny Galladay.
Yeah. So the one thing I'll say about the Giants offense that haven't seen in a very long time, they've been creative on offense. If they want this guy to be a part of the offense, they're going to put him in a position to contribute. I definitely think it's worth a shot.
Yeah. And the last guy I want to mention is Daniel Ballinger. Albert in here saying Ballinger. Daniel Ballinger, tight end, was had the most targets on this team. Have any receiving option, 5 receptions on 5 targets, 38 yards, and a touchdown for the tight end Ballinger. Simon, is Ballinger worth a fantasy pickup?
First of all, shout out Ed. I feel like this offseason when no one was talking about Ballinger.
Ed was pushing Ballinger.
Ed was out here going like, guys, pay attention to Ballinger. Pay attention to Ballinger. And something about like rookie tight ends on the Giants. I feel like if a rookie tight end gets drafted to the Giants, you can just like
Kevin Boss back in the day.
It just happens. It just happens sometimes. He's in the glob. Know what I mean? Like, welcome to the glob, Daniel Ballinger.
Welcome to the glob.
Before he was not in it, he's now a streamable tight end option. Like, I don't think you need to have him on your rosters and redraft week in, week out. He's not a must start. In Dynasty, he's probably someone that you want to have on your roster. You're excited to see down there, but he's in the glob and you can start him if you need to.
Yeah. Throughout the first game, he's got 4 targets a game. And for a tight end, that's not horrible. And, maybe Wanda Robinson gets on the field now and Daniel Ballinger becomes a thing for us. So I like him a lot.
Yeah. Like you said, he's in the glob. And for those who don't know what the glob is, it's that group of tight ends that you're willing to stream somewhere 3 to 5 catches, 30 to 50 yards, and you're happy if they catch a touchdown on the day.
Absolutely. Guys, we're going to move on to our next game. And the AFC North team that we all expected to win lost to the Giants, and the AFC North team that we all expected to lose went out and beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 20-18. The Pittsburgh Steelers pulling out an improbable victory in this one.
They surely did, and it was a very sad occasion for me and my family.
Shirley.
Oh God. I live in a Bucs/Steelers family. My wife's family, they're all Steelers fans, so I've been getting texts all day about this game. But let's talk about the Steelers first since they won the game. Kenny Pickett did go into concussion protocol midway through the third quarter. Before leaving, 11 passes for 18 attempts for 67 yards and a touchdown. He added 16 yards rushing. When Mitchell Trubisky came in around the middle of the third quarter, he was 9 for 12 for 144 yards and a touchdown. He looked impressive, especially in that last 4 minutes and 38 seconds to close the game out. Chase Claypool had 7 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown. 5 of those receptions came with Trubisky, though. So keep an eye on that. I still think that George Pickens is Pickett's main target. We'll see if he can clear the concussion protocol, though. Deontay Johnson, 5 receptions for 28 yards, and George Pickens, 3 receptions for 27 yards. I want to talk about Najee a little bit, and I want to play a little game with you guys. He had 14 carries for 42 yards and 2 receptions for 7 yards and a touchdown. Not what we want to see out of Najee. So I want to play a little game of Najee or JL, Najee or Travis Etienne.
No. For rest of the season?
Yeah, rest of the season.
Najee.
Najee. Okay. All right. Simon, Najee or David Montgomery?
Why'd you have to call him me? Couldn't you have called on someone else?
Everybody's going to get one.
Everybody gets one, like Spider-Man said.
Yep.
His is so much easier than mine.
David Montgomery.
Okay.
That's David Montgomery.
And Jay?
You okay?
Najee or Ramondre Stevenson?
Ramondre Stevenson.
Okay. So these might be
That
some
one's
players
tough.
you can go out and trade for because 2 of the 3 we got yeses on. So if you got players in your league that they see this game, they get a touchdown, they just look at the fantasy points, David Montgomery and Ramondre Stevenson might be 2 players you can target if you want to trade Najee away. On the Buccaneers side, disappointing day for Tom Brady. 25 for 40, 243 yards passing and a touchdown. Now, I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but there is a theory going around that Giselle is a witch and granted Tom Brady magical football powers, which has allowed him to play into his mid-40s.
Is that
When
a
he
conspiracy?
unretired- This is
or not?
100% true. I read it on the internet, and everything on the internet is true. When he unretired, she became upset and took away the magic. If not this explanation, what can you attribute to today's performance?
I think that about covers it. It
Yeah,
has to
yeah.
be witchcraft. I don't know.
I'm not
another
pissing off
outcome
Giselle.
would be.
I don't want a hex on me. So
You get
whatever
an
she
airtight
says.
case there, buddy.
Are you guys
Yeah.
just throwing this game out just as an anomaly?
I don't think so. This Bucks team hasn't looked as good as we thought it was supposed to, right? This doesn't look like a Super Bowl contending team to me. And we're through 6 weeks now. Like, do we adjust expectations? Do we just say they're still
Yes.
figuring out how this offense is going to roll? But I'm concerned about the Bucks as a whole. I don't know if it's a Tom Brady issue. I don't know if it's a coaching issue. Like maybe this is a coaching issue.
I think, but for both the Bucks and the Rams, it's the same thing. It's an offensive line issue with injuries, with retirements. Both Brady and Stafford, they're getting hit nonstop. They're not able to take the time to get the ball downfield. Like you said, I'm really concerned for long-term prospects for the Bucks. I'm sorry, Joey.
No, it's. I mean, you're a Giants fan, so you know what disappointment's like, except for 2 Super Bowls. So,
Four Super Bowls.
well, I mean, we've won 2. You've won 2 recently. Leonard Fournette has a bright spot for fantasy managers. 21 carries for 63 yards, 6 receptions, and 38 yards and a touchdown. Chris Godwin led the team in targets with 12, and he finished with 6 receptions for 95 yards. Mike Evans, 4 receptions, 42 yards. Over the last 3 weeks, Godwin has 28 targets, which he's turned into 19 receptions for 125 yards and no touchdowns. And Mike Evans has 22 targets, which he's turned into 16 receptions for 226 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, guys, is there a clear-cut wide receiver 1 in this offense between Evans and Godwin? Simon?
I think it's a 1A, 1B scenario. Like we have seen from this Bucks offense in the past, right? They play slightly different roles. You'll probably get more consistency out of Chris Godwin going forward, but Mike Evans is going to have those big multi-touchdown games, right? Like you'll get some of these Mike Evans 3 catches for 2 receptions, 2 touchdowns kind of games that you're going to be super happy about. Chris Godwin, man, that if you traded for him over the past couple of weeks as this season was going in, like major props. I feel like he got injured and everyone was just like, oh, this really good player sucks now. Know what I mean? Like they just stopped. Like this guy who's never done anything but be very good out on the football field is going to be bad when he gets back. And he's back. And look what Chris Godwin is doing. Chris Godwin thing. So if you've got either of these guys on your lineup, you're excited rest of season. And if you stole Chris Godwin in a trade through the first 5 weeks, you are very happy.
Yeah, 12 targets. That's 3 times the amount of targets Mike Evans got this week. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think you're very welcome. Last 3 games, he's 20.1% target share compared to Evans' 15.8%. I think the 1A, 1B situation, it hits the nail on the head.
Jay, do you prefer to have Godwin or Evans if you have to pick one? Or are you just happy with either?
I'm happy with either. I would prefer Chris Godwin because he's a little more consistent. And while Evans does have a slightly higher ceiling, Godwin does still have the boom weeks as well. So
awesome. Yeah,
do you guys want to guess who has the highest target share on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now?
Leonard Fournette.
On the season. Damn it. Yes.
I'm a Bucs fan, so it's not really fair to ask. I should have been quiet.
Damn it.
No, you got the answer. That was more fun watching Jail immediately throw away his fun trivia. You were so excited to stump us. Jail, if it makes you feel better, you would have stumped me. I wouldn't have guessed Leonard Fournette. I would have gone with something silly
like idiots.
Like
36 targets. 36 targets, guys. Leonard Fournette. Remember when he was bad all of a sudden in Jacksonville? Everyone said he lost his talent.
I was disappointed when we saw to Rachaad White today. I was expecting something from him. I was starting to see a little bit of his shift and getting more work, and he just wasn't really that involved today. So that's about it from this game, though, guys.
Yeah, no, he was not that involved. Guys, we're going to move on to another game that also made a lot of sense in the outcome. It was the New York Jets just dismantling the Green Bay Packers 27-10. This morning, we all picked the Jets to cover that 6.5 point spread, right? Like we were like, or 7.5 point is what I think it was at. We said, I think they can cover this, but I don't think any of us saw them winning this game by 17
Why can't
points.
Maryland let us bet yet? I would be rich.
As we remember, just
likely story. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same thing with North Carolina. If I could bet here, I'd be a millionaire. So
I'd be a freaking millionaire, guys.
Freaking millionaire. This is
actually bet.
No, in Texas, I cannot.
I would be all over the FanDuel Sportsbook app making. Oh my goodness!
Just you guys wait. Just you wait, FanDuel Sportsbook. I'm coming.
Yes, sir. The Packers lose back-to-back games for the first time in the LaFleur era.
Wow.
LaFleur era. I
what?
don't know why I said it like that.
What?
The LaFleur era. LaFleur.
What?
It was an ugly game to watch. No touchdowns in the first half. The Jets defense played well again. They blocked a punt for a touchdown, gave Aaron Rodgers fits all day. And what seems to be working for the Jets is they're hiding Zach Wilson with the run. Only 18 passing attempts. Breece Hall had 20 rushing attempts. Wilson played okay, but no touchdowns, but no interceptions. 5 carries for a whopping 1 yard, 110 passing yards. So while he didn't really do anything to take the team on his shoulders, he didn't make any mistakes that would cost him. With the Jets' low passing volume since Wilson has returned, only Corey Davis has had a game over 10 fantasy points, which was week 4 against the Steelers. So Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, what are we doing with the Jets wide receivers? Can you start any of these guys next week? They play a tough Broncos team in week 7.
Yeah, I would probably avoid these guys against the Broncos if I can. The only one I would think about maybe starting would be Garrett Wilson, but even that I think is easy to pivot away from. So yeah, I'm not starting any of the Jets receivers next week against Denver if I can help it.
Give me Flacco. Give me Flacco.
Give me Flacco.
Flacco's not an option.
Flacco. Because this is preposterous. I was so excited for Garrett Wilson, and Elijah Moore was looking like he could put together a decent season too. And then Zach Wilson just comes in and goes to all fantasy wide receivers here. I'm trying not to start them. I'm trying not to start these guys if avoidable.
Trying not to start them.
What does
start
that
or
mean?
try. Start them or try not to start them.
Sometimes you got it.
Are they like whispering in your ear? Start B.
Yes, 100%. There's just like a voice in the back. I have one too many seltzers, and I get a voice in the back of my head like, "Start Garrett Wilson, do it." Like I lay in bed at 3
Braxton Berrios.
Oh God, shut up.
JL, you starting any of these guys next week?
No, Breece Hall is the only one I'm starting.
Breece Hall. Let's get to my boy. He is a star. I'm going to take a victory lap on him because nothing can change. He's had 2 good games in a row, so he's going to continue to do it the rest of the year. 20 carries, 116 rushing yards, touchdown, 2 catches, 5 yards. He had more rushing yards than Zach Wilson had passing yards. 5.8 yards per carry. I know there was a lot of people coming into the season thinking that Michael Carter, it was going to be more of a 50-50 split, maybe a 60-40. I think that's all put to bed now. Breece Hall looks like a star. I think he's a running back 1 for the rest of the season. Any of you guys disagree?
I mean, Just like pro tip when we're looking at this, I missed on some of this. Like I should have been higher on Breece Hall. When a guy's coming in and the person in front of them is worse in every aspect of the game, that person's probably going to take over. Breece Hall, we knew was a powerful runner. We knew he was great in the receiving game, right? And he's out here just doing what he should have done based on what we knew about him coming into the league. Jay, I think that victory lap's deserved because Breece Hall's looking hot right now. He looks so good.
I think he's a first-round draft pick in next year's drafts. I really do. He looks incredible.
Yeah, he's good at football too. That's it for the Jet side of the ball. The Packers, Aaron Rodgers continues to just be mediocre. 4 out of 6 games this year, he's at under 250 passing yards, continues to put up average numbers. Already a thin wide receiver core. Lost Randall Cobb for a potential long period of time. We don't know how much yet. Aaron Jones is another guy who is disappointed. Today he had 9 carries, 19 rushing yards, 3 catches for 25 yards. You know, he has more games under 10 fantasy points than he does over. He's only got 2 touchdowns on the season and 2 games over 100 total yards. You know, a lot of talk was going into with Devontae Adams not being on the team. He was going to be much more involved in the passing game. He's only got 3 catches is his high for any game this season. Are better days ahead for Jones? Are you guys looking to trade for him, or would you try to go ahead and sell low on name value alone?
I would probably go out and try to acquire him. Honestly, the Packers seem to always find a way to right the ship. What are they, 3-3 right now? Yeah, they're well in contention in their division, and Aaron Jones is a huge part of that offense. You know, he's had a couple bad games this year, but you know, I believe in the talent of Aaron Jones. I still do. So I'm probably going to out trade for him, especially if I can get him for cheap.
Man, at what point, like, this is something I'm struggling with. Like, at what point do I say, like, the Giants are a good football team? At what point do I say the Packers are a bad football team? Because, Joey, you're right. Like, I think we've seen the Packers have rough stretches before and watch them turn it around. And when you look at this team, it feels like this could be a good team, right? Like, it feels like this could be a deep playoff run contending team, but we just haven't seen it yet. And if this offense isn't working the way that we've seen it work in the past, Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon are going to be struggling. I'm with you. I think I send out some offers for Aaron Jones. Not low ball offers, but you're probably going to be able to trade for him for less than you have been at any point in the previous 2 seasons.
JL, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with these guys. I think what we're seeing is a pretty evenly split backfield between these guys. AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, both of them I think are just, because they're in an offense that isn't as explosive or moving the ball as much as we'd like. It's just like both of their upsides are severely limited. I think that's what we're seeing playing out now. They're just getting these, you know, nice little 8-point, 9-point games, but not really having a huge impact on your fantasy team.
Yeah.
Bingo.
If you're, are you all right, Simon?
Yeah,
if you are,
you just nailed it with that one. That was so great.
If you are going to look to acquire Aaron Jones, I would suggest doing it this week because they have a good matchup against the Washington Commanders last week, who have given up a lot of production to the running back position. So with the pass catchers on the Packers, like I said, Randall Cobb went down with an injury. Allen Lazard, 7 catches, 9 targets, 76 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty much the typical Allen Lazard game. I don't think anybody's too excited or disappointed with that. One guy I do want to talk about is old Big Bob Tunyon. 12
Big
targets.
Bobby Tons.
Oh, Big Bobby. 12 targets, 10 catches, 90 yards. With you're right. Both players. Damn it, Bobby. Both players are likely to see increased work if Randall Cobb is out for an extended period of time. Lazard is pretty much on all rosters across leagues. Is Robert Tunyon somebody you guys are looking to pick up and start if you're struggling at the tight end position?
Nope. Did you guys see Allen Lazard tip off Sauce Gardner's cheese hat at the end of the game?
I did not see that.
Jill says, nope, next topic.
I was high on Robert Tunyon coming into the season because I figured somebody had to catch passes in this offense. And I mean, 12 targets today, that's great to see. We're coming into bye weeks. People that have had, other than like with Kyle Pitts before this week, you know, I think there's people out there that could actually use the services of Robert Tunyon, especially if he's going to get anywhere close to 12 targets a game, even if he gets 8 targets a game.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Joey, is this isn't how in that big Robert Tunyon season, this isn't how he got it done.
Big Robert.
It wasn't off of 12 target games. It was off of touchdowns. He was a double-digit touchdown guy. So, like, seeing Big Robert with a big target share.
The devil
is
Please don't call him Big Robert again. That just scares me. I don't know
Robert.
why.
Big Robert just making me
Big Robert sounds
excited
like you go
over
into like a sketchy bathroom at a convenience store.
Get the key from Big Robert.
For a good time, call Big Robert, and it's got his number scribbled underneath it. That just worries me. Oh, and speak of the devil, there is Tinder Hot XYZ in the chats.
Oh, welcome in. They always hear as soon as we say it. They know when we're talking about it, and they come in over here. No, I do think Robert Tonyan's worth peeking at, right? He's in that glob, and maybe Aaron Rodgers is clearly frustrated with his receiving options in this team. Maybe he trusts Robert Tonyan. We talked about that with Randall Cobb. Like, the reason why he was a good pickup was Rodgers is frustrated, wants to get this going. He's going to go to guys he trusts. If he trusts Big Robert, then maybe Big Robert has another big season.
That's all right. That's pretty much it for this game on me. And if you say Big Robert one more time, I'm leaving.
I mean, but to hit on what JL brought up, though,
I did not see that.
That was really funny. Sauce Gardner with the cheese hat on at the end of the game, and then Allen Lazard running up and tipping it off. Like, that's so funny. It's beautifully funny right there. Guys, let's move on to our next game. Another one that makes a lot of sense. We're just full of games that really went the way I thought they were going to today. The Atlanta Falcons, the powerhouse Atlanta Falcons, taking down the San Francisco 49ers 28-14, a 2-touchdown victory in this one. And it looked like the Falcons, like it wasn't like a fluky win. Like, this Falcons team looked ahead the majority of the game. It wasn't just the scoreboard showing that way, and they closed it out. On the 49ers side of the ball, we saw Jimmy Garoppolo throw the ball 41 times, completed 29 of them for 296 yards, 2 touchdowns, but added 2 interceptions on top of that. If you started him in fantasy, you're probably pretty happy with what you got from Jimmy Garoppolo. Not thrilled with the touchdowns, but he put up a pretty good week for you. Now, probably because they were losing, the rushing game suffered for the 49ers. Jeff Wilson with only 7 carries for 25 yards. JL, you love Jeff Wilson with every fiber of your being. Does this worry you going forward until Elijah Mitchell comes back, or is Jeff Wilson still an every week start with Elijah Mitchell out?
Jeff Wilson, every week start, Elijah Mitchell out.
Agreed.
Okay, do you agree with these two?
I was not paying attention to what they said. I'm being honest right here.
Well, what do you think? Jeff Wilson an every week start?
Yeah, he is. I don't think he's as high end as a lot of people were thinking. If you can trade him away, I would at this point. Maybe not after this game, but if he has a solid game next week, Elijah Mitchell's coming back this season. So,
absolutely. As far as the receivers go, Brandon Ayuk with the big game: 11 targets, 8 receptions, 83 yards, and 2 touchdowns in this one.
Goodies.
You pointing at JL? This one
JL called it. Yeah, JL called it this morning. Big time.
Did I call
Brandon
it?
Ayuk game.
I don't even remember.
Big Brandon Ayuk game this week.
Big Brandon.
Big Brandon.
I wanted to ask you guys, our friend Britt Flynn, who's speaking of witches, she's got some sort of crystal ball or something with these hot takes that she's been putting out on her hot takes article. And one of the ones she put out last week is that we're going to see the switch to Brandon Ayuk as the wide receiver 1 for fantasy in the San Francisco 49ers offense. Jay, how do you feel about that hot take? Do you think we do see Brandon Ayuk as the more fantasy relevant wide receiver here over Devo Samuel rest of the season?
I think you're going to see him as the top pass catching wide receiver. I still prefer Devo Samuel because they're going to get him involved. But I think, the beginning of last season, Brandon Ayuk was in the doghouse and did not put up fantasy numbers. But towards the end of the season, he really came on strong. So I think with Jimmy Garoppolo under center, he's going to be serviceable. I think he's a fine start as a back end wide receiver 2 type of play. And I think he's going to have some more games like this.
JL, Mr. Brandon Ayuk, you think he's a back end wide receiver 2? I like to just take a player that you said you liked once and attach your personality to them. So, biggest Brandon Ayuk fan on planet Earth, JL. How are you viewing him? Back end wide receiver 2 like Jay, or maybe a little bit higher?
Definitely not higher. That would be ridiculous, Simon. Don't get ahead of yourself, all right?
Yeah, Simon.
Settle the F down, buddy.
Okay.
No, he's wide receiver 3, actually, in my opinion, rest of the season. High end wide receiver 3, but I think he has the upside to be a low end wide receiver 2 if things go well for him.
Joey, what about you? Are you nervous about Devo Samuel? Do you think Brandon Ayuk starts taking over some of that receiving work?
I mean, what we're seeing from Devo Samuel in the receiving game is pretty much on par. What we're not seeing from Devo Samuel is the rushing ability. Like, we are not seeing San Francisco use him in the rushing game like they did last year. That's what's missing from him. So if they're not giving him the rushing work that he got last year, I'm going to be a little down on him. That being said, I still like him more than Brandon Ayuk rest of the season.
Yeah, I tend to be with you guys. On the other side of the ball, on the Falcons side of the ball, Marcus Mariota, 13 for 14, a near perfect game with from a passing perspective with the limited volume that he gave him, 129 yards and 2 touchdowns. And his leading receiver today was Olamide Zaccheaus. Zaccheaus coming out there with 4 receptions for 58 yards, didn't get the touchdown, but player that did get the touchdown, the one we've all been waiting for, Kyle Pitts, turned 3 targets into 3 receptions for 19 yards and a touchdown. Joey, outside of the touchdown, it was still what we've been seeing from Kyle Pitts like
garbage.
Every other week. Does this change how you're feeling about him going forward, or is the level of concern equal even with the touchdown?
I said this morning that I wanted to see it from Kyle Pitts before I start him in my lineups. This is not it. This is, the touchdown saved his production. So I'm not confident starting Kyle Pitts, but the wasteland that tight end is, I'm probably still going to start him, especially when the matchup's good. This matchup was terrible for him. So the fact that he got a touchdown is fantastic. Mariota doing what he did today, like I said this morning, I'm starting Skylar Thompson over Mariota. I had no idea that Mariota would do this against the 49ers defense. It's been incredible all year. So yeah.
Yeah, adding on to that, Mariota, I didn't even mention it, 6 carries for 50 yards and a touchdown on the ground in this one.
Bizarre.
He looked good. He looked like a good quarterback out there and what they asked him to do. The running back situation here, this team is, I think, missing a little bit of Cordarrell Patterson. They got the win today anyways, but not a ton of efficiency on the ground. But Caleb Huntley and Tyler Algier splitting pretty evenly, 16 carries for Huntley for 59 yards, 15 carries for Algier for 51 yards. John Luke, are either of these running backs startable in the absence of Cordarrell Patterson?
Probably not. No, I mean, it just depends on what the matchup is. I mean, I might be interested in playing them based off matchup.
Joey, do you think when Cordarrell Patterson comes back that he steps back into the role that he left, or have these rookies established themselves enough to kind of eat into that?
I think Cordarrell Patterson's going to pick up right where he left off. I believe this is the last year under his contract. So let's ride him till the wheels fall off. But I do like what I've seen out of the 2 rookies, especially out of Algier.
Jay, how do you feel about Patterson coming back? Is he going to come back in and step into a RB1 role like we saw from him previously?
I still think he's going to be the RB1 on this team. I think they'll probably pull back on him just a little bit. We saw it down the stretch last year, and we've seen it already this year. When they ride him hard, he gets injured. And they want to rush the ball. Like, they want to hide Marcus Mariota. It's been the story, and that's why I still like Kyle Pitts. I think he's a buy low, obviously in Dynasty, but even in redraft. I know Kyle Pitts is a high target share. He's got one of the highest percentage of air yards in the league. But this team wants to run the ball, and they're going to use all of these guys. I think Patterson's going to be the 1A, and then you're going to see Huntley and Algier both used. But I do think that they're going to pull back just a little bit on Patterson.
I think the most disappointing thing of this game for me is that the Falcons won, because I want to see Desmond Ridder. I want to see what this offense looks like with him, because he really does seem like the future of this Falcons offense at quarterback. And maybe that's what's going to unlock Kyle Pitts. So let's get Ridder out there just so we see what we have.
Dude,
stop winning games, Falcons.
I have so much trust issues now with Desmond Ridder after Dio Ledbetter came on our show and just was disparaging him before the season. Was just like, I don't know, Ridder hasn't looked great. I don't know if he's the answer. Now I'm just like, oh man, Ridder's done for.
No, I'm with you, Joey. We got to get rid of Marcus Mariota so that we can get Desmond in there.
Yeah.
Was that a good one? Did you like my
good
little
one.
joke there? No one even responded. That's how you know it's a money joke, whenever no one even laughs. Well, let's get rid of this game on our screen and move to the next one.
That was good. I like that one.
No,
we're going to be talking New England Patriots versus the Cleveland Browns. The Patriots led by Bailey Zappi with another big win, 38-15 in this one.
Dude, the Zap Master did pretty good in this game. I'm sorry, Simon, but your Browns got blown away. Bailey Zappi, though, 24 for 34 attempts, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had this game in hand. This game started off with just a stalemate, field goals. Just Cade York, Nick Folk, both field goals, first quarter, nice and easy. It was basically what you'd expect out of a New England game, heavily defensive game. And then Ramondre Stevenson in the second quarter broke off a 31-yard run.
Whew.
That was hot. It was a really hot run. In the third quarter, we got some Hunter Henry 31-yard pass. We got a Taekwon Thornton 2-yard pass from Bailey Zappi's touchdown. I think that was that Taekwon Thornton's first touchdown.
I think it was. So. Yeah, because he was just activated last week, I believe.
Yeah, and then Jacoby Brissett was leading the comeback here in the fourth quarter. Browns got a field goal and then threw a 15-yard pass to Amari Cooper, touchdown pass. They did not get the 2-point conversion, unfortunately, and then Taekwon Thornton got a 19-yard touchdown run to solidify this game, and Ramondre Stevenson got another touchdown also in the fourth quarter in the last few minutes of this game. Starting on the New England side of this, Bailey Zappi, 24 completions, 34 attempts, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns. Simon, I forget when you were doing this, but you were calling for Bailey Zappi to take over Mac Jones' job. I think that was this morning.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I just felt like maybe you were a little bit too dismissive of the fact that it's a possibility. Like Mac Jones, I don't think is good enough that we can ignore what Bailey Zappi's been doing in his starts, right? Like he has looked great and Mac Jones is good. He's a good quarterback, but he's not like some world beater where I think Bailey Zappi has to come in and be perfect to steal his job. Like it could happen. And this game is like further evidence to that, right? Like I would not be shocked. I'm not calling for it. But I think there's a real world where Bailey Zappi does earn the starting job for this Patriots team.
I think that's total. I think it's totally fair. I think it's a totally fair, position to take here. Joey, how are you feeling about this Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones QB battle?
I think it's Mac Jones. My opinion from this morning hasn't changed. I think Mac Jones gets a job back when he comes back. I think the Patriots now know that they've got a good backup option if they need it. Whether that be for trade bait, which they've done them before with Jimmy Garoppolo, because
Jacoby Brissett did the same thing.
Jacoby Brissett, yeah. So the Patriots have a history of saying, "Oh, look at this nice piece we have. Let's showcase it for a while, and we'll put the guy back in charge." Now, Mac Jones is not Tom Brady, and I understand that, but we'll see what happens. But I don't think Zappi's taking the job.
Man, did you guys see the video going around where it was like guys like back in my day, quarterbacks were named Kurt and Brett. Yeah. And now we got guys like Bailey and Sky.
Yeah, that was the terrible. The Taron Killam was doing some sort of stand up like a soup talk type of thing. It was bad.
Was that him? Was that who it was? Was that Taron Killam? That was I blocked that out of my memory from Thursday Night Football or whatever that was because like my girlfriend who doesn't look up at the TV when he was doing his jokes on screen looked up and goes, "Who is that? What are they doing?" I didn't even realize that was from there. It was pretty cringy.
We got let's see, we got Mr. Scampers in the chat saying Bailey Zappi isn't a real name.
Name's actually Zappy, but
it's a way of
call
life.
Him Bailey for short.
It is a way of life. You're 100% right.
But yeah, Ramondre Stevenson on the rushing side, 19 attempts, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns, 25.1 fantasy points in PPR formats. Jay, with Damian Harris currently out, Ramondre Stevenson, is this something that can be expected every week, this 25-point performance?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as long as Damian Harris is out, you can consider Ramondre Stevenson an RB1. He's already proven he had the pass-catching role on this team. And if he's getting, anything over 15 carries, 4 yards a carry isn't that exciting, but he had some electric plays. Like you said, 31-yard long run, 2 touchdowns. He's going to be the guy. They don't have anybody behind him. They got the rookie Pierre Strong Jr., Kevin Harris, who combined had 4 carries. It's going to be a true bell cow status for Ramondre Stevenson as long as Damian Harris is out.
Yeah.
Joey, how are you feeling about Taekwon Thornton coming back in this game? 5 targets, 4 receptions, 37 yards, and a touchdown for 21.3 fantasy points. He also had 3 rushing attempts for 16 yards. A rushing touchdown? Is that true? That's crazy.
Yeah. I might throw like 5% of my fab at him. I'm not super excited to start him. I mean, it's a Patriots wide receiver after all. And we've seen Patriots wide receivers have one great week, and then we don't see him for the rest of the season. So I am extremely confident in what I saw from Ramondre Stevenson, though, which is crazy to say about a Patriots running back. But my one concern with Ramondre was Pierre Strong. And
he was a
non-factor. So, like, my confidence in Ramondre is through the roof right now.
Say that is like an awesome running back name, Pierre Strong, and throwing the junior on the end there.
Pierre Strong.
Pierre Strong.
Pierre Strong.
I rushed the ball. I scored touchdowns. Like that's what he does.
That was so good. That was really good.
I just can't not hear Jacoby Brissett's name anymore, Simon, and not think of that video because I edited it and it was mixed in with so many Jacoby Brissetts, but then also we were talking about France and the French voice. The
That's I speak French fluently.
Yeah,
I got that. I got baguette, and that's all you need to know. You can get around France with that.
Omelette du fromage.
Joey, watch your language. This is a family show.
Yeah.
Chapeau
Geez,
means
Joey.
hat.
So Jay said you said 5% fab on Taekwon Thornton.
Yeah, about 5% of my fab.
Joey,
I'm not going to go too crazy on Taekwon this week.
What about you, Simon?
I can't tell if this is true or a very funny joke, but Craig said Pierre Strong Jr. was a background character in the live action Beauty and the Beast. I'm believing it. I'm not fact checking it. That is now added to my lexicon of fun
true.
facts, Craig. Don't tell me if it's not true. I'm probably not adding Taekwon Thornton. I don't think he's necessarily a bad ad, but I don't see myself ever having the confidence to like plug him into my lineup, right? And I don't see unreal upside for a Patriots wide receiver in this offense. So maybe with the Zapster under center, we see a more relevant fantasy wide receiver, but I'm not running to the waiver wire to add this guy.
I think I'm probably then the most interested in adding Taekwon Thornton onto my team as a rookie wide receiver. There's unknown upside that we could see him tap into and become a fantasy regular fantasy producer, but it is a long shot. Moving on to the Cleveland side of this ball, Jacoby Brissett, 21 completions, 45 attempts for 266 yards and a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Amari Cooper had a good day. Donovan Peoples-Jones had a pretty decent day. Njoku, sort of. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt really weren't factors into this game.
Stupid.
Simon,
stupid.
What went into this? Why wouldn't they rely too heavily on Nick Chubb? Why wasn't the run game working?
I don't know. It's not that the run game wasn't working. Nick Chubb was averaging almost 5 yards a carry. They just weren't running the ball. Like whenever you were watching this game, it was like, the one thing that this offense can actually do is run the ball effectively. Like that's the only thing they can do. And they were like, nah, let's try to win this game through the air. Let's chuck the ball around. They just weren't doing this team's identity is running the ball. And they went away from it this week and they lost.
Does that say 45 pass attempts? Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, 45 pass attempts. That's absurd. I don't care if they're down 20 points. They have a much better chance at just giving the ball to Nick Chubb every single down and coming back and trying to have Jacoby Brissett throw the ball 40 times for them to win it. I like Brissett, but that's not this team's identity, and it was stupid for them to run that game like this. I just don't get it.
5.9 yards an attempt. That's
terrible.
not good.
I just don't get it. I don't get what their plan was. I don't get what they were thinking. It seems stupid. It seems like there has to be something else that went into this, but maybe not. Maybe it was just dumb. Maybe they're just the Browns.
The Browns are the Browns. Sorry, Simon.
Browns are the Browns.
Things are always. Guys, before we move on to our next game, we had some questions in here that I wanted to answer. Ernie, what's up, Ernie? Said, I'm down by 30. I have Hurts and Eckler playing. Do you think I win? Joey, you giving Ernie the win?
Yeah, actually, I'm giving Ernie the win. That's a lot of points to come back from. But if you're in a PPR league, Eckler, awesome. Hurts is definitely going to get you 20. Yeah, you've got this win, Ernie.
You got it.
Yeah.
Hopefully. You got it. Craig in here said a very close FanDuel game today. Indeed, it was. We run a FanDuel contest every single week. The winner won by less than 2 points, and that person was Craig this week. Shout out to Craig on winning our week 6 FanDuel contest.
Shout out Grimace Gang.
Craig.
Got the Grimace Gang in there too.
What? Nice job, Craig, right there.
Yeah. Good job, buddy.
Hebo Jam had a question for us. What's up, Hebo? Said, does Elijah Mitchell take over from Wilson when he's back? JL, you think Elijah Mitchell takes the job back?
He should, yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
And then super C and B challengers. Jay, I'm going to throw this one to you. Said I'm up by 10. I got Mike Williams playing against Lamb. What do you think? So Mike Williams has the toughest wide receiver matchup in the NFL. CeeDee Lamb playing with Cooper Rush against a pretty good Eagles D. They have a 10-point advantage. Who's coming home with the W, them or their opponent?
I still think you come down with the win, but I have to say you got to be scared for one of those traditional Mike Williams 2 for 20 games that he just doesn't get it done. I'd say it's a 60-40 in your favor because you've got the extra 10 points, but it's far from a certainty.
Far from a certainty. Yeah, that's a much closer one than the other ones we've been looking at. Guys, let's move on to our next game. We're running low on time here, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the revenge game. The Colts coming back, winning this one 34-27 after the Jaguars embarrassed them earlier this season.
Yeah, this is the kind of game I like to watch. Everybody kind of looked good in this game. On the Colts side of the ball, Matt Ryan, 42 for 58, 389 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. I'm going to give you guys some splits on Matt Ryan. Indoors, he's averaging 329 yards per game and 2 touchdowns. Outdoors, 223, 0 touchdowns, but 2.5 interceptions per game. I dropped this stat earlier this morning, and it pretty much just went up for the indoor side of it.
He's an indoor cat.
He is. Throw a half an interception.
Yeah, I don't know. But he found a way.
Okay.
Of the remaining 10 fantasy relevant games for the Colts, only 3 will be played outdoors. So the next 10 games, only 3 of the Colts games are played outdoors.
That's a good point.
Are you comfortable starting Matt Ryan for your team, or is he still just a bye week replacement? Jay?
Definitely just a bye week replacement. And honestly, with that stat, I would look to sell high. Like you said, and I think it's been the case for the past 2 years. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I'm pretty confident that he has struggled outdoors here recently, past couple of years as well. So, they're going to get Jonathan Taylor back. They're going to be able to run the ball a little better. So they're not going to have to rely on Matt Ryan throwing the ball. I mean, it took him 58 times to get over 300 passing yards. Yeah. Michael Pittman, I thought he was going to wind up with 25 catches before the end of this game.
This game took a year off of Matt Ryan's playing career, I think, with the number of passes that he threw.
Yeah, I'm just I'm looking to sell Matt Ryan if I can after this. He's definitely not somebody that I'm comfortable starting week in and week out.
JL, Simon, anything to add?
No, Jay hit on it. Good luck selling high, though. I think the perception of Matt Ryan is still especially in a 1-quarterback league.
Look for a Falcons or a Colts fan.
If you -2 in week 2 and then 2 points in week 5. Yeah.
Absurd.
Not the best record to look back on.
I just want to shout out DJ because I almost said earlier, I feel like if there was anyone still alive in a Survivor League, they got eliminated this week. But DJ picked the Jets, who are their favorite team and still alive.
DJ,
got rid of the Jacksonville pick last night, swapped from Jacksonville to the Jets. DJ, that is a move you talk about. Like you talk about that the rest of the season where you
that rest of your life, honestly.
DJ is my favorite, not new person, but he's been in for a few weeks now, but like
killing it.
I'm loving it.
What a pick, DJ.
We love you, DJ.
Hot right there.
Dion Jackson, 12 carries, 42 yards and a touchdown, but 10 receptions for 79 yards. Awesome production to see out of him. But when Jonathan Taylor comes back, I think that's the story. I think this is great that we see this from him, but I think that's about it. Michael Pittman, 13 receptions, 134 yards. Alec Pierce, 3 receptions, 49 yards and a touchdown. But I want to talk more about Paris Campbell because the coaching staff was kind of talking him up this week, saying this is the best he's ever looked. And he had 7 receptions for 57 yards and a touchdown. JL, is Paris Campbell on your waiver wire for week 7? If he is, what priority are you putting on him or how much fab?
You're asking me, is he on my waiver wire? Is he available?
Radar.
Yeah, is he on your radar?
Let's see. Let me pull up his target shares in this offense because I think that'll affect my analysis here. But Paris Campbell, he's got a 10.7% target share on the season in this offense. Last 3 games, 14.1%. What we saw this week is certainly an anomaly. He's been averaging around between 2 and 4, so around 3 targets per game until this game where he got 11. I wouldn't be rushing to throw a ton of my waiver budget on Paris Campbell this week because I don't think he's going to get 11 targets every week.
The one thing that makes me like, he's not going to get 11 targets. Matt Ryan's not going to throw the ball 58 times. Like, that's not
They're going to
happen.
have a run game. They're not going to have to rely
Exactly.
just solely on their pass. Yeah, their receiving game.
But even though this is an anomaly, something like, you can't just look at the numbers because it doesn't tell the whole story. When a coaching staff talks up a player going into a week and then that player is heavily involved, I feel like you can't look at those two things independently, right? Like this coaching staff going into this week, like Joey said, was talking up Paris Campbell, saying he's the best he's ever looked. We want to get him more involved. And now he is more involved. Like, he's on my radar for waiver wire ads. He's not, I prefer Wanda Robinson over him. I don't think he's an every week start, but you pay attention whenever a coaching staff says something and then we see it on the field. That's a little bit more interesting to me than just a random 11 target game.
Jay, anything to add?
I'm honestly not targeting. I think Michael Pittman. Still think Alec Pierce is ahead of him on the pecking order, and like you guys have said, like he's not going to pass the ball 58 times, anywhere close to that. So I'm not interested.
Give me Taekwon Thornton over Paris Campbell.
Yeah.
Okay. On the Jaguars side of the ball, Trevor Lawrence, 20 for 22. Very accurate passing today. 163 yards and a touchdown and 23 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns. This is only T-Law's 3rd fantasy game of the season with over 18 fantasy points. Are you looking to sell high after today's performance? Simon?
Nope. I don't think this is a sell high moment for Trevor Lawrence. Know what I mean? Like, even though he's not killing it, I think this is about what you will see, if not bigger fantasy games from him. Like you said it already.
He's 24.8 fantasy points.
You're happy with it. It's not a stat line that's going to get people excited to sell high on. And I think you're going to keep getting games like this the rest of the year.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm actually looking to acquire him. Look good. This is a case where you can't go by the box score, similar to what Simon was saying earlier. Trevor Lawrence looked good in this game. If you watch the game, he looked like what everybody was hyped up for. And there was no Marvin Jones, which I know, he's not quite what he once was, but that's one more deep threat that he didn't have on the field. He's got some decent weapons, especially with Travis Etienne playing better as the season's going along. I'm excited for the rest of the season for Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely. The Jaguars running back tandem had essentially had a 50-50 share today. James Robinson, 13 total touches for 55 yards. Travis Etienne, 12 total touches for 108 yards. This is now the 3rd game in a row Etienne has outproduced James Robinson in total yardage. This is also a 3-week drought for Robinson with no touchdowns, even though he's receiving the bulk of the carries inside the 5. Do you see the Jaguars moving more towards Etienne going forth, or do you think it stays a true 50-50 split? Jay, what do you think?
I think it's going to be pretty much a 50-50 split. If it leans anywhere, I think slightly towards Etienne. There's no question Etienne's the more explosive player, especially in PPR leagues. He's the one that you'd rather have in your lineups because he's involved in the passing game. But I think this is what we're going to see from James Robinson the rest of the season. I think he's going to get double-digit carries, maybe a target here or there. But you have to like that he's getting those carries inside the 5.
Yep.
Those are going to go in eventually. And he earlier in the season, he was breaking off some long runs. That's where he got those touchdowns. So he still has some of that explosiveness. Yes, he doesn't have that great of a yards per carry since then, but I think he's fine as a low-end RB2, and you're looking for him to get into the end zone.
Does anyone see Robinson just breaking down? Or is that I'm just trying to will this into existence here?
No, I think Robinson's going to be there. He's a good running back. The coaching staff likes him, right? Like there's nothing he's doing that is removing carries from him. Like he still looks good out there, even if he's not like as explosive as Etienne. And we're still going to see him on the field regularly. Etienne's the guy I want for fantasy, though.
Yeah.
And Mr. Scampers brings up a good point too. Agnew got knocked out of the game as well. So that was just, to have this type of performance with another, probably, one of his weapons that he's used a lot this season says a lot for T-Law.
I feel like with Agnew, though, if Zay Jones is on the field, Agnew's not a factor at all. That's just something I've seen. But as far as the receiving, Jacksonville receivers go, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, and Christian Kirk all had 5 to 6 targets. Seemed pretty evenly split between them. Christian Kirk got the touchdown. Pretty much what we've seen from Trevor Lawrence spreading the ball around. But yeah, this Jacksonville offense has excited me. I'm excited to see what they're going for the rest of the season. So yeah.
I think you have to be excited about Evan Ingram continuing to be involved. He's not somebody that, is a must start every week, but if you stream tight ends, you could do a lot worse than Evan Ingram.
Absolutely.
For sure. Guys, we had a question in here before we wrap up the show today from DJ. DJ said, I'm up 5.8. I have Everett and the Eagles D left against Lamb and Eckler in one of my 5 leagues. Am I screwed? DJ, I'm going to be real. It's not looking good, man. Not looking good. If I had to bet money on one side or the other, I'd bet money on your opponent. But Keenan Allen not playing. That's positive news for Gerald Everett, at least. And
also Eckler, though.
And also for Eckler. Yeah, this is tough.
The only shot you've got, my friend, is if Cooper Rush just melts down and the Eagles get like 2 defensive touchdowns, a bunch of sacks. It's possible, but
they might.
It's possible, but it's definitely not likely.
Yeah, I'll give them a percentage chance of winning this game.
Oh boy, I'll give you a 38% chance, my guy.
38% chance on that one. That is a little bit high, but I like it, JL. I like it. You're still saying you're probably not going to win that one. It's rough, DJ, but we've seen crazier things happen in fantasy for sure. And letting us know, yeah, you get to start with 10, so really it's 15.8, but that can go down as it's going on. We'll see. We'll see how that matchup ends up. Real quick, let's hit on this Bengals-Saints game before we go. The Bengals and the Saints, let me pull this one up. The Bengals winning this one 30-26, pulling out the victory in a pretty messy game on both sides.
Yeah, I knew there was no way that the Bengals would lose this game because I don't know if you guys saw, but Joe Burrow wore Jamar Chase's national championship jersey that he wore the last time they were in this stadium in the Superdome. Couple years ago. It was pretty sweet. He had a solid game, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. I'd say that's pretty good. It was exciting to see Jamar Chase put up a big game. You know, with Marshawn Lattimore getting hurt, a lot of people were expecting that, and they made it happen. Joe Mixon, while he didn't have necessarily a great game on the ground, 8 carries, 45 yards, he's getting involved in the passing game, which, a lot of people were saying wasn't going to happen. But 5 targets, 4 catches, and a receiving touchdown. A lot of people are panicking on Joe Mixon, and honestly, I'm looking to acquire him everywhere I can. Do you guys think that Joe Mixon's a trade target, or is he somebody that you would be looking to get rid of?
I am absolutely trying to acquire Joe Mixon if I can. If I have some managers in my league that are just not happy with what they've seen from Joe Mixon, I am trading not whatever they want, but let's talk about
Jonathan
Kirk. Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor or Joe Mixon rest of the season.
You don't be an idiot.
I'd take Mixon.
Just kidding. You would take Mixon over Jonathan Taylor rest of the year?
I'd probably take JT since he's coming back. Last week I would have said Mixon just because I would get an extra week, but that with Taylor coming back,
high ankle sprain lingers.
They do.
Man, but we talk about that, and like this, the problem with Joe Mixon is his efficiency this year, right? Like he's not getting the volume to make up for the lack in efficiency, and this offensive line isn't getting any better as the weeks go on. Like it still seems to be a major problem for them. I'm worried about Joe Mixon. Like if he's not getting the volume to make up for that lack of efficiency, which is probably in large part because of this offensive line, how much can we really expect from him? That being said, he's probably an RB1, right? Like he's going to finish as a top 12 running back. But whenever I'm looking at him versus JT, I'm not ready to just say, like, I want Joe Mixon rest of the year because JT is dealing with this high ankle sprain. Joe Mixon's dealing with the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line, which is probably on level with dealing with a recovered ankle sprain. Not that the Colts offensive line is that much better.
But and JT really hasn't, outside of week 1, JT hasn't really looked that great either. So I think it's closer than most people would think. I know you laughed at first, but the more you think about it, Joe Mixon's getting used in the passing game. He's getting usage in the red zone. I'm very high on Joe Mixon. I think he's somebody that, like Joey said, if people are down on him, look to acquire him. T. Higgins, he did play. He had 10 targets, 6 catches, 47 yards. I got to be honest, I watched a lot of this game, and I'm concerned about T. Higgins for the foreseeable future. He's playing through, I believe, is it an ankle injury that he has? He just doesn't look the same. I wish he would just, sit for a game or two to get healthy. I'm a little concerned, not necessarily saying that you need to go out there and trade him, but I would put a little bit of a cap on your expectations for him, at least for the next few weeks until he's able to get healthy.
When is Cincinnati's bye?
I believe it's week 10.
Oh,
week 10.
It's got a
Week
little
10.
bit.
So
He's
they
got
still
Atlanta followed in week 7, followed by Cleveland, followed by Carolina Panthers.
So I think
Solid matchups.
right.
I understand being concerned. The fact
Yeah,
that
I'm
he's
not
out
saying
there,
bench him. I'm not saying, you need to trade him away or anything. It's just I would temper some expectations at least these next few weeks.
Yeah, I love the Atlanta matchup for him. I think that'll be good. It'll be interesting to see AJ Terrell on T. Higgins.
Absolutely. And for the third time since he has not been a member of the Cincinnati Bengals, 3 separate teams Andy Dalton has played his former team, the Cincinnati Bengals. He won the first 2, almost won this one. I don't know how close Jameis Winston is to returning, but you got to like what you saw out of Alvin Kamara, 19 carries, 99 yards. He got some usage in the passing game as well. Was at 9 targets. Love to see that. This offense, honestly, it looked okay with Andy Dalton under center. It's not, he didn't play that great, but they put up 26 points as a team. Mark Ingram, I know some people were kind of interested in him. I don't think even if Kamara misses time, I'm not interested in him. Taekwon Smith got in the end zone. Pretty evenly distributed.
Get to the part that we all want to talk about, Jay. Just hurry up and get there. I've been sitting patiently. Say it.
I'm waiting there. Taysom Hill, 5 carries, 39 yards. 2 passes for a whopping total of 16 yards. Yeah, that big game last week did not
That is why you don't chase Taysom Hill points.
Draft him in best ball leagues, but that's it. Like
if you did it this week, this is a firm bonk on the face for doing that. You got bonked hard, but it's okay. Now you know.
Look at his usage. It's about the same as it was last week. He even threw more passes. Threw 4 passes, had 5 rushing attempts, but wow, lo and behold, you can't turn 8 touches into 4 touchdowns every single week.
You sure about that?
You can't even turn 8 touches into 1 touchdown.
Didn't bench Mark Andrews for Taysom Hill this week.
Yeah, rough. But that being said, we knew this is the kind of player Taysom Hill was. Hopefully you listened that he's a boom bust guy, and if you started him, it wasn't with the expectations that he's going to score you multiple touchdowns every single week. He can. But he can also just as likely go out there and get you 30 rushing yards and 16 passing yards, and that's it, which is what we saw this week. So
it's disappointing because I was hoping he was going to have a big week because I have him as a bye week replacement for Darren Waller, and I was ready to trade him right away. Just get rid of him. Has another good week, just send him off. And he's going to sit on my bench until he has a great week, and then I'll send him off.
Absolutely. Everyone who hung out with us, I know that Sunday night football game has already kicked off. We're going to let you guys go over to that Cowboys-Eagles game. Or in Craig's case, to play some Super Smash Bros. With your kids with the game on in the background. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and hanging out with us this morning. We'll be back here next week. Same time, same place, 7 p.m. Eastern time in between games. And head on over to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you enjoy what we're doing over here. Jay, before we go, give us your best Eagle noise just for fun, since you said the Eagles were great for the first time in your life.
Oh,
beautiful.
That's pretty good.
Beautiful.
It's Eagle-ish, but I liked it.
But you buy a car, guys.
We're out of here, everyone. Adios. See you later.